Hello and thanks for joining me. My name's Lucy and we're here on a Good.Chat video. Today's topic is a little bit of a tricky one, but it does impact an awful lot of people out there, so I thought it would be something to dive into today. And that is lying. I'm sure we're all familiar with the topic. Everyone lies, it's a fact. Sometimes we lie to people to make them feel better. Sometimes we lie to avoid a situation or a reaction. Sometimes we lie to get out of doing something. You might have a poor salesman lie to you to make that sale, or you might tell Karen that those jeans look great. But they can become destructive and hurtful really quickly. They can shatter and destroy relationships and undermine trust in our valued communications with other people. This leads to the breakdown of communication and trust really quickly, and sometimes it's just not recoverable. Lies can stem and be used as a tool from really serious personality disorders like narcissism. A narcissistic personality is going to be using lies to deceive, manipulate, and control a person. They might be used to gaslight someone, or they might be used to simply control their actions and to control their reactions. But they're not always from that sort of personality disorder either. Sometimes they can stem from things like anxiety or depression, or something else that's used as a tool to self-cope and to self-manage with a situation. Lying in a person can be a sign of childhood trauma, and it could also just be a generalized anxiety disorder, and the lies help them cope with things. The reasons for habitual lying are many. Lies aren't normal. They're non-harmful little tales. They don't impact greatly, and they often serve a purpose or are perceived to have served a purpose. Now, lying is not the same as a compulsive liar. A compulsive liar is a disorder that can be diagnosed and requires medical intervention. If you believe that somebody is a compulsive liar, this isn't the video for you. This is more just a video about general lying in relationships and some of the underlying issues and how to focus on those. If you believe that somebody is actually a pathological liar, that requires medical intervention or it won't be treated. It is a serious disorder, and that's not what we're here for today. We'll do another video discussing that later on. Lies in relationships can be one of the biggest issues, and they escalate really quickly. Lies can turn a good relationship toxic just like that. It's amazing how often a partner inadvertently starts a cycle that can't be broken once it's gotten into. It may be one partner reacting to those lies, it may be both partners picking up really bad habits from each other, and both of them continuing a cycle of lies. Either way, it's not healthy and it's not a great place to be in. Nobody wants a relationship like that. Lying is a trait that often stems from childhood. We learnt at some point that lying was a handy tool to use to avoid a particular anticipated reaction. They feared the reaction, and the lie got them out of that trouble. And then it became a really hard tool to put down. Once they learnt it, it was easy, it was cheap, and it was free to use. So once they started doing that, it can be really hard to put it down. The problem with lying and fear of reactions in relationships is that it can run parallel with trust issues, or it can create them, and you can see how. It may be that they've had experience of being lied to, and they have their own fear-based reactions on that run differently to somebody that's learned to lie as a fear-based solution. This may stem from abuse or abandonment, or somebody lying to them pathologically as a child, or it could just have been a development from the relationship that they're currently in. So lying becomes a fear-based solution. It's certainly not ideal, but it is easy, so the mind picks it out pretty quickly once you've learnt that habit. So here, let us look at Jack and Diane. Okay, they've been dating exclusively for 6 months. They're both invested in the relationship and they think that it's got a future for them together. Diane asked Jack about his ex-girlfriend Becky and whether or not they still speak to each other. Jack says no, they haven't at all. One day, not long after this, Jack leaves his phone at home, and while it's on the table, it lights up with a message that says Becky. Now, she doesn't open it up to read the whole message, but it's quite clear from the little snippet that shows this is a continuation of the conversation. Jack has been caught lying. He just doesn't know it yet. Now, Diane confronts Jack, who then continues the lie and denies that he's in contact with Becky. This sets Diane off on a bigger cycle of fear-based reactions. Diane becomes hurt. This escalates her emotions. She becomes angry. She yells, and this creates a big cycle. Meanwhile, Jack doubles down and continues building on the lie that he's already told. He says he didn't text her, and the lie increases and the emotional stakes rise, and the whole situation escalates well past a reasonable solution-based one. The whole situation just keeps escalating. Jack then says that he didn't know that she'd messaged and that it's the first time that she has. This, of course, does not help the situation. The situation then continues to escalate and it erupts into a full-blown fight where both parties are highly emotional, highly reactive, and they start bringing in all sorts of garbage from other situations that weren't issues unto themselves, but right now they will do as ammunition in this situation to mask the current situation. It just becomes one big mess. Now let's look at the cycle of what has actually occurred here. And because I suck at doing editing, I've actually got a chart with my terrible handwriting. This is Jack's. Jack has a fear-based reaction. This leads to him lying. The lying leads to an angry reaction, which is then confirmed with the fear, which then reinforces the fear and validates the reason that he lied in the first place, which leads back to fear of reaction. Over on this side, we can see that Diane is feeling hurt. She's feeling very hurt, which leads to her feeling very angry, which leads to her going on the attack of the lies of Jack's, which then leads into Jack's cycle. So as we can see, this cycle, it comes together right here with Jack's lies. Okay, terrible whiteboard down. So we saw the overlap of Jack's lie. This intersection is exactly where the cycle can either be broken or will be perpetuated and become much worse and a continuation of the one big cycle. Without intervention, it's not going to get better. To break the cycle, both parties have to learn to manage their reactions. To do this, they should absolutely seek the services of a counsellor. A counsellor is, of course, a trained professional and neutral party that can show you tools to learn to undo these kinds of behaviours. It can teach you how to break that cycle. It can show you awareness of where these behaviours come from and tools and resources to prevent them from continuing further and to undo some of the damage that they might have already done. Now, of course, I have a biased opinion. Without counselling, the process is still doable. It's just arguably a lot harder. You really are better off getting counselling for this. But let's explore the process. Diane needs to learn to manage her reactions. She needs to learn to communicate openly and honestly in this situation to prevent it from happening again, or to at least give Jack the chance to break his cycle. She needs to say something along the lines of,
"It's not the fact that you speak to Becky. It's the fact that you lied to me about it that makes me think that there's something to hide. I feel unsafe and insecure in the relationship when this happens, and it's not something that I can live with in the relationship."
This is honest and it states the issue. If you can keep yourself neutral, that's exactly what's needed here. Putting a whole heap of emotion into the delivery of that statement and making it a passive-aggressive statement towards the other person is not going to be helpful at all. In these situations, you do need to develop emotional maturity enough to step back out of your emotional state and just deliver things factually. I feel hurt, I feel untrusting, that makes me feel unsafe. I'm trying to work on it, but I can't as long as the lies are there. It's a fair enough response, right? Jack could say,
"I don't like cutting people off. It's not that I text her all the time, it's just that she texts me and I answer back. I feel horrible otherwise. Mainly we just talk about her family. We got along really great and I kind of miss them a lot. It's not that I'm still in love with Becky or even want to see her again. It's just, I don't know, I don't like cutting people off. I feel that it's mean. But I'm really sorry that I lied to you about it. I shouldn't have because there was nothing to hide and I promise I'll do better going forward."
That's a reaction from Jack that Becky can't get angry about that. It's a fair enough point. A lot of people don't like cutting other people off. You can miss aspects of a relationship without missing the relationship. It's also perfectly possible to be friends with an ex-partner. That's what comes with being emotionally mature. Some of the situations, of course, that's not going to happen. But if you ended it in good terms and you just discovered that you weren't the right fit for each other, what is to stop you from being friends? You spent a lot of time together. It seems like a lot of an investment to throw away just because your current partner is feeling jealous and not managing their emotions. Without the lie in place, there's absolutely nothing in this scenario that could set Diane on a suspicious path. Indeed, she probably wouldn't have been suspicious on it at all. It also explains what Jack plans on doing going forward. He said, "I'll stop lying to you." Of course, this all depends on Jack learning to not use lying as a common tool. It can't be his go-to anymore. If he does continue with the lies, that's where you're going to have to reassess things, and maybe Jack needs some counselling because he's got some underlying issues there. Maybe he just has had so much success with lying at some point that he just can't stop. He needs tools to help him to do that, and that's where a professional comes in. Now, in this situation, you've kind of got two choices. You can seek help and maybe get some counselling for both of you together as a couple or individually, either way, and maybe try to learn to move past it. Or maybe it's time to cut your losses and end the relationship here, because somebody that has taken up habitual lying and then continues with it after they've been honestly and openly confronted with what the issue is, and they know that it hurts you, maybe the relationship isn't what you thought it was going to be, and maybe the person that you're with isn't the person that you thought they were. And sometimes we just need to take our own power into our own hands and make our own decisions, even if we feel really hurt by them in the meanwhile. In the long term, that can be what's best for everyone. Now, if you don't end the relationship and you keep going with a perpetual toxic cycle, you're going to pick up some really bad habits. You're probably going to become what you're seeing and really disliking. And that's an unfortunate fact. We do mirror the behaviours in our environments. So if you want to avoid that, please seek help or end the relationship. You can do better than that. For now, I'm Lucy with a good.chat, and I hope this was a good chat. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.